That record holds out as the camel completely
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Grand Prix Podcast. I'm Elton, this is Andy.
Hello!
And we are here to do the 2017 United States Grand Prix, which was formerly known, if you look on the Wikipedia page, formerly known as the 2017 Formula One United States Grand Prix. What's all that about? I don't understand that.
No clue whatsoever.
None
at all. Makes no sense.
It's like Prince in the 90s all over again. It's all very confusing.
It is. It's the race formerly known as.
Yeah. Whoa. What's going on? So, sorry. Right. Okay. First off, sorry it's a little bit delayed. Life got in the way, but them's the breaks. It's free entertainment. You take it, you give it, and that's the way it is. So, apologies for it being a little bit late, but at least it's not after the next race, if that makes any sense.
Do you remember back in the day when it would be like 2 races before we do one of these?
That's right, yeah.
And then we'd lose interest like halfway through and, you get like 3 races.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, I remember I went a whole season without doing anything. I think I did 2 and then was like, do you know what? This is quite dull. Let's not do anything. It's like back in the day when people had cassettes and the kids don't really know what they are nowadays. Them little bastards. Yes. Anyway, as you probably are aware, we are 2 idiots that like to talk about Formula One. We may get things wrong. We will get things wrong. We may swear. We will swear. And you're just going to have to lump it because that's the way it is over here. So if you're happy with that, stick around. If you're not.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
There you go. I'm sure everyone did clap their hands in. Anyway,
I'd hope so, yeah.
So, the race. Can I get your initial impressions on this?
We can do, but before I was just going to say, was there any news or matters outstanding from between the race?
We can do news if, why not?
I don't know if there was any news. I'm simply asking, was there any news?
Okay, well,
I was a bit, preoccupied, so,
Okay, we had driver swaps at Toro Rosso.
Yes.
Which was quite confusing.
Yes, because, okay, so let's see if we can keep track of this. In the previous race, it was Gasly and Sainz.
Mm-hmm.
But Gasly was going to go off and do the final Super Formula race.
Yep.
Which was subsequently cancelled anyway.
Yep, that's right. Gasly took Kvyat's seat, didn't he?
Yes. But then this time around, Kvyat was back because Gasly was out. But Sainz was out because Sainz moved to Renault.
That's right.
Yes.
And we had Brendan Hartley stepping into the Toro Rosso.
A Kiwi.
Yeah.
One we've not seen since before you were born. Well, I don't think it was quite that long, but yeah, it's been a while.
Hey, less of that. Yes. So, yeah, he stepped in. But he took, hang on, right, let's get this right. He took Gasly's, which was Kvyat's old seat. But then Kvyat came back and took Sainz's seat.
Did he?
Yeah.
I'm confused now. Okay, so the engine penalty that Hartley had was in relation to Sainz's.
This is really confusing.
Yeah, it is a bit, isn't it?
I think what they did, they manipulated it so Hartley had all the penalties, but said, "Look, here's a free race for you. Enjoy it, but you're going to be starting towards the back." And Kvyat, come in. Hopefully, you can do something for us.
Yes.
So yeah, it was musical chairs all over the place, which develops later on. We'll have more news on that at the end of this episode. Hopefully, remind me about that, by the way.
Yes, musical chairs will do that. I think we might have extensively mentioned last time out that a certain Jay Palmer would not be racing this week.
I miss him.
I know. Did you cry yourself to sleep with a poster of him?
I had my Renault overalls on, the Palmer ones, kind of snuggling in.
Do you have a love pillow shaped like him?
What, one of them ones with the arms that come around?
Yeah.
Yes. No. Actually, no.
No, just to be clear. Okay. Did we mention last time out, because obviously Honda and McLaren have parted ways because Honda are now going to Toro Rosso.
That's right.
But Alonso formally signed on again with McLaren for next year.
Yep, and everyone seemed quite happy with that as well, didn't they? I'm happy to see him here next year.
Oh, absolutely. I'm happy to see it too. But obviously, it's not like he really had anywhere else to go.
No, exactly. All the doors were shut for him, weren't they?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, the only other seats he'd be interested in really are Mercedes and Ferrari, and both of them said no.
No, not a chance. He's already burnt them bridges. Not
a
chance.
To the ground. To the ground.
Yeah. We also had... Did you see Roman Grosjean's helmet this weekend?
I did not. No. We're not that close, if I'm honest.
Okay, he had a helmet which was really weird. It had, if I'm correct in remembering, a picture of him on his helmet saying, "I'm not always moaning." It was a speech bubble thing, and one on the left side and one on the right side near the mouth saying that he's not always moaning, which was weird because he was still moaning this weekend.
Yes.
He's starting to get a bit dull now. Really just, okay. I kind of tune out when he starts grumbling.
Oh, to be perfectly fair, both for Haas drivers, to be honest. They've gone a bit,
Yeah.
Meh.
Yeah, they've lost their spark, haven't they?
A little bit. They're just a bit, So, yeah. Not really a massive news, but Button has confirmed he won't be reserve driver next year for McLaren.
Yep.
So, well, there you go. That's a huge surprise. Alonso has confirmed he will be doing the Daytona 24-hour next year in an LMP2 car.
Excellent.
And can I say, ooh, yes, please, sir. I think we might have to watch that.
I wouldn't mind watching it. I think I watched it a couple of years ago where Martin Brundle was racing it, and they have most of the circuit. They have a little inlet. They cut off one of the major corners on the Daytona circuit and really Mickey Mouse it up a little bit. But I want to see it. Definitely want to see it. If Alonso's here, yeah, definitely. Man.
Oh, fuck yeah. And again, rumour has it, it's one of the things Jensen might be looking to do next year is some sports car stuff.
Cool.
Alonso and Button in an LMP2 car or an LMP1 car. Ooh, suits you, sir. Ooh, do you like it? Do you like it, sir? Oh. The only other bit of news really that springs to mind, he says desperately trying to find it again because he's lost it from where he was looking 2 seconds ago.
Shall I jump in with one?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, well, there was a little bit of work carried out onto this circuit where they tried to grind off the bumps. And you could see it from the helicopter. You could see like real bright grey patches on the tarmac. And it reminded me of a piece I heard after the MotoGP at Silverstone where all the riders were moaning about the bumps on the Silverstone circuit. And they said that the bumps had got worse after the Formula One cars had been on there.
Yes.
And it sounds like the Formula One cars, where they're heavily braking and heavily accelerating, they're creating more bumps, which was really interesting. I didn't even think that would actually happen. And yet, the force of all these cars just slamming their anchors on and then accelerating, it's shifting the ground. And I found that totally interesting.
I mean, this is a very boring example, but if you want to see that kind of thing in everyday life, often at bus stops and stuff like that, where you've got big, heavy things stopping all the time, it pushes up the tarmac and stuff in those places. And given that these things, are probably generating even more downforce than a bus, I'd hope.
I hope so, yeah.
I would certainly hope so. I remembered what the other thing was, though. It was the Williams trials for their seat, which it's totally not calling a shootout, but it was totally a shootout.
Yeah.
Between Robert Kubica and Paul di Resta.
Yep.
Over who is going to take the seat from Massa. It does seem like they've completely discounted Massa.
I think they've moved on. I think they were prepared to move on from him last season, and then Nico Rosberg scuppered their plans. And yeah, it was. I think I don't think Massa's ready to go now, though. It seems like he's fighting for it a little bit more in the recent races.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, I haven't heard of any results. They seem to be more pro-Kubica, though, at the moment. Because every report I hear is, well, Kubica did really, really well. Nothing about Di Resta. But it's all
I think it's a story which would certainly track very well, isn't it? You know, someone who was a rising star, he was laid low through an accident, an injury, but he's now managed to make a return. And I mean, for all intents and purposes, he would be disabled. I don't know if he's registered disabled, but he literally severed his arm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all power to him if he does it. It would be great. I mean,
if he gets on the podium, he has to have a disabled badge or a disabled bay to park in.
I was going to say when he pulls into Parc Fermé, perhaps.
Yeah.
The blue badge section. But I would say that you'd always have the Johnny Herbert question over him, I reckon. Is he ever going to be as good as he was before the accident?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I'm sure he wouldn't mind having that question over him. One, I'm not saying it gives him an excuse, but it gives him an excuse. And two, there's always that, the glossy looking back through rose-tinted glasses aspect of his career where, damn, we missed out on a world champion there. Where really he would have been battling Hamilton and Alonso and Vettel for all of them world titles, and we know how that went down. And do you reckon he would have beaten them guys in the equipment that he had?
Oh, who knows? I mean, I suppose if history was different, would he have been Alonso's partner, or would he have been alongside Alonso in Ferrari?
May have been going towards Ferrari, yeah. So yeah, he may have taken over from Ferrari. He would have had Massa's seat. He would have vacated Massa out of that seat, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, hell, it's wishes were horses and all that sort of stuff. But I just feel that nothing against Paul Di Resta, there isn't a story there with him.
Yeah.
Unless he comes back and goes on to win a championship a la Jenson Button or something like that. But with Kubica, there's a good PR story there. There's a feel good thing there as well. The only hope is, though, he would go on like, I suppose, Alan Prost or Kimi Räikkönen, not so much like Michael Schumacher when he came back.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, I think that's all the news then.
I think we are now up to speed, more or less. Okay, so, good. Yes, there you go.
Okay, well, I'm quickly going to run through free practice 1, 2, and 3 because not that they were dull. I thoroughly enjoyed watching them, but not much happened. So, free practice 1, it was wet. That's the story there. Free practice 2, Vettel spins and forces a change of his chassis, which he couldn't find a balance on this. Now, there was speculation they're blaming it from the Singapore crash, where they could have had some delamination on the bodywork, but they haven't got the expertise or the equipment to actually find out that. But hopefully they'll find that out soon. But it forced them into a chassis change for FP3, which is everyone working through the night on his car. Free practice 3, we had a new track record set by Hamilton, and everyone, bar none, was causing problems with track limits, which is nice because that develops later on during the weekend.
You don't say, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
Oh, yes, it does.
Whatever could it mean?
But yeah, there was lots of moaning about the track limits. People were going... It was more in turn, I think, 18 and... Hang on, let me pull up the map. It was... After turn 19, they were really running wide. There was some people going wide and cutting the corners in turn 9, 8 and 9. But it was really 19 that was causing the problem because people were just being so blasé about it. And I think they may have been pulled up on it in the drivers' meeting or the press conference before the race. Well, I was going to say,
we'll be able to find out because they release those now, don't they?
Yeah, okay. Opinions on them because the first one I saw, I thoroughly enjoyed, but I think I remember turning around and saying, I don't want to see it all the time because it might water down their reactions, etc. How are you feeling on them?
I've only watched a couple. I haven't watched the US one. Frankly, I quite like seeing them. I think it, although I would like the cameras to be less obtrusive. Like, I think it'd be better if it was fixed cameras in the corners of the rooms almost.
Like a fly on the wall?
Yeah, I think that would be better. Because, yeah, I want the authenticity to still be there. I don't want them holding their tongues until they've gone out to really pick up on stuff. Yeah. But, I mean, it always reminds me, if you think back to the Senna documentary, and, you know, the big row about Japan, I think it is. I think that would be a really good thing to see more often now, you know. I mean, next week's is going to be a great one. Just for this, I mean, I've already seen Crofty tweeting about, in the Mexico one, they are having a chat about, you know, track limits effectively.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see what that is. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm quite happy to see them. I think maybe they're releasing them a bit too close. If they become a real regular thing, then people are going to start demanding them, and then they're just not going to be as full of information as what we want. We're not going to see the personalities come out.
You see, I don't even think they should be. I think they should go out live. They should be treated almost like the press conferences. I think. I want to sit and watch this on the Thursday or the Friday. I want to hear what are the important subjects, what are the topics. And at the end of the day, it's not like these are closed. I mean, we know that the reporters can attend them. So why can't we be a part of them?
Do they attend these ones as well? Because I know that they attend some. And the only portion that they're releasing is the any other business portion.
Yes, it is. It isn't the more mundane bits, because obviously any other business is presumably the bit where all the juicy gossip goes out.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to sit there and talk about, you know, how
track 4, the curb needs to be raised up a little bit.
Yes, exactly. And, you know, the white courtesy phone is for pickups only. That is the white zone.
No, the white phone.
So, I mean, I like that Liberty is effectively just trying things. They're throwing shit at the wall and see what sticks. Some things work, some things don't, but at least they're trying it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, so many times, you know, oh, can't do any changes because it's the DNA of Formula One and change is bad and evil and so forth.
It's got stagnant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Got really stagnant. And so, yeah, I'm happy for these. I would go softly with these. I would, like you say, maybe have a static camera, 3 or 4 static cameras, but slowly release these and maybe pick up speed after a year or so. And then maybe after a year or so, the drivers are a bit more relaxed because they're all PR trained and you don't really get that feisty personality coming through in certain drivers. And the PR training really, it's like a big shield comes up. It's like, poof, okay, personality turned off. Here's the information that you guys require. And I get that because they're speaking to hundreds of people each weekend.
And their sponsors don't want to hear their guy kicking off or something like that. But...
Well, yeah, that's another thing, isn't it? So, yeah, maybe treat this subject with kid gloves a little bit. But that's only a personal preference anyway, so.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so I'm going to dive into qualifying, if you don't mind.
Oh, you dive right in, sir.
Right, I've got to get my notes. I know that Q1, Grosjean nearly collected Stroll at one point for coming out of turn 19. Stroll was backing off and had a car, and Grosjean came round turn 19 and nearly flew into the back of him. Grosjean had to take to the grass, and I think there was another incident where Magnussen was blocking Perez. But, no, Magnussen was blocked by Perez. And
yes,
Perez came out and said, no, sorry, that was my fault, which was nice to see. He could have turned around and said, no, there's nothing to do with me. But yeah, he Actually came out. He was humble and look, it was my fault. I apologise. That's the end of the matter. And, nothing else came of it. I don't think. The interesting part of this, in Q1, Sainz was up to 5th place when the checkered flag was dropped.
Uh-huh.
And we lost Magnussen, Verline, Hartley, Stroll, and Ericsson.
Was that J.R. Hartley?
And what's your name, sir? J.R. Hartley.
Yes.
Do you know, there's people that don't get this. They don't get it.
Now get off my lawn, you damn kids.
They didn't
damn Americans.
Yeah, they didn't get the white courtesy phone reference, and they don't get J.R. Hartley.
You're making me feel old now, damn it.
Well, it's going to happen to everyone, mate.
I suppose.
Yeah. So that's who we lost in Q1. I'm sure the positions changed ever so slightly. Let me just run up. No,
yes. They didn't. Yeah. There were penalties applied, so there were changes.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if you want to wait until we get to the end and we can do the full rundown of the grid.
Yeah, we will do. Do.
Yes.
Q2, Verstappen was on supers because it was already known that he was going to be taking a grid position penalty. So I think they went into the weekend knowing that. So
yeah, he had a 15-place penalty.
Yeah. So they put supers on instead of the ultras so they could start him on the supers because they knew that he'll be starting towards the back somewhere.
Yeah.
And the Mercs, I think on their first run, they were over 8/10 of the second faster than anyone else out on track. Hamilton was dominating once again. It was a masterclass from him. It looked such an easy weekend for him. This was one of them dominant weekends.
This is practically his second home GP at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, he's won quite a few times here, isn't he?
Well, it's not just that. He spends so much time in the US, and he loves it there and everything. I mean, let's face it, when he finally decides to give up Formula One, that's where he's going to be. He's going to do the David Beckham thing. Oh, yeah, he's going to be mincing that proper. He really is. He's going to be in all the talk shows. He's going to be in all the adverts. Yeah, go for it, man. Go for it. Why not? So, in Q2, we lost Hulkenberg, Grosjean, Van Dorn, Kvyat and Massa. Hulkenberg didn't run because he also had grid penalty places applied to him. So I think it was just a case of, we'll get through to Q2 and then we'll see what happens. Yes. So, on to Q3, and Hamilton was over 4/10 in front of Bottas by the time on their first laps round, I think it was. And he clearly had some time left on the table as well. He was, once again, he was dominant. It wasn't a very interesting Q3, I don't think, but he laid down the law. He said, nope, this is my pole position, thank you very much. And there was nothing that anyone could do about it. There was just nothing. No, I think Vettel came close-ish, but he was proper ragging it out as well. Fernando Alonso was ragging it, and he came over puffing and panting and said, yep, you ain't going to get any more out from me. But he made it through, didn't he? Yeah, he made it through. So, the top 10 in the qualifying. Now, do I do the position they finished, or do well, I'll tell you what, why don't you do the top 10 as they finished? Yep. Yeah, and then I'll do the full grid where they started. Okay, right. We had in pole position Hamilton, Vettel, Bottas, Ricciardo, Raikkonen, Verstappen, Ocon, Sainz, Alonso, and Perez. Oh, yes. And as you've already said, definitely worth doffing our caps to Carlos Sainz, because the first weekend in a new car and everything like that, mightily impressive. Obviously had swapped cars with Hulkenberg, so he has Hulkenberg's car, and Hulkenberg must have Palmer's old car. Oh, definitely. I think I sent you a text message saying that Hulkenberg was probably in his motorhome, all tied up with gaffer tape over his mouth, going, and Jolyon Palmer put his helmet on and went, no boy, I'm going out this one. Yes, exactly. So anyway, the full grid, as in where they finally started or finished, or I don't know, whatever you want to do. I'm gonna try and do this and do it in order, but this gets a bit convoluted. So
Good luck.
Hamilton and Vettel on the front row. Bottas and Ricciardo's unchanged. Then it was Kimi Räikkönen and Esteban Ocon in 6th. Carlos Sainz started 7th. Alonso 8th. Perez 9th. Massa 10th. Kvyat 11th. Then Grosjean 12th. Ericsson 13th. Who, by the way, qualified in 16th, so he's jumped 3 points there. Verstappen was... No, sorry, that was 13, wasn't it? Wehrlein was 14th. Stroll was 15th. Verstappen was 16. Magnussen 17. Hulkenberg 18. Brendan Hartley was 19. And Stoffel van Dorn was 20. Because... Daniel Ricciardo and Kimi Räikkönen set identical lap times in Q3. Since Ricciardo was the first one to set the time, he was considered to have qualified ahead of Räikkönen. Verstappen had a 15-place grid penalty. Stoffel van Dorn had a 30-place grid penalty. Wow. Hulkenberg had a 20-place penalty. Lance Stroll had a 3-place penalty for impeding Grosjean during qualifying. Hartley had a 25-place penalty for exceeding his car's quota of power unit components, even though it's his first time in a car. And Kevin Magnussen had a 3-place penalty for impeding Sergio Perez in qualifying.
Oh, it was Magnussen impeding Perez. Okay, fair enough.
Yes, but everybody got that?
Wow.
So Magnussen started ahead of where he qualified because of the penalties, even after the penalty was applied.
I love it. Actually, don't change it, Formula One. Don't change it. I love it.
No, you may as well just put all the names in a tombola, just spurl it around, and then just pick them out. You know?
Oh, don't! They did that in IndyCar once, didn't they? They actually did that in IndyCar. I think they did it for the top 5 or top 10, but they just put it in a tombola, and the drivers had to pull their grid positions out of a hat. It's disgusting. But, that's the way that they want to do it, so good luck to them.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so... Well, we won't get onto the race just yet, because there was something else that happened before the race. Now, it was... Oh, who's the governing body again? Sorry.
Liberty Media?
Liberty, yeah. They pushed everything back 15 minutes because they wanted to do intros.
Yes.
Because... Now, I'm only guessing that this is an American thing when they do this intro, because it's so over the top.
We saw this at the Indy 500, remember?
Did we?
Yes.
I don't remember it at the Indy 500.
Yeah, at the Indy 500, each driver is brought out individually. They stand, I think it's 3 at a time, effectively. And they stood on a mini podium, and they all waved at the crowd and everything like this, and then... They went off towards their cars and their pit crew, and the next lot would come up and do that. And yeah, because when Alonso came out, there was a massive cheer from everyone. It's like, So yeah, but yeah, this is, and again, it is a very American thing to do.
Okay, the way they did this, because there was certain bits where you had replica gymnasts, I think, on top of the stadium, behind where the drivers were coming out, dressed up in either the McLaren gear. The only 2 I saw was McLaren and Renault. And once again, so glad Jolyon Palmer isn't there. It just doesn't suit him whatsoever. Hello everyone, yes, I'm Jolyon. No, go away. Anyway, I've got no problems with this, as long as this stays in America. If they do this just for the American Grand Prix, brilliant. This is something to look forward to from the American side. Imagine doing this in England.
They've muted. They might do. It might be a cultural thing, so they're introduced in various ways in the different countries. Mm-hmm. So, they'll do something different in Mexico. Hopefully, not involving sombreros, but who knows.
So, what would they do over here then?
Well, obviously, they'd sit down, have a nice cup of tea.
Yeah.
And just introduce, go, and have you met my son, Lewis? Oh, yes, he's frightfully good, don't you know?
They'd be brought out on old people scooters, wouldn't they? That's what.
Or Golden Looking Shane style.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. Oh man, I've got no problems with this being in America because this is what America does. But if they're going to do this every week or every race, I might not even turn on until the lights go out because I couldn't stand it. I really hated it.
I mean, I've got it here. It was 12 minutes 45 seconds from start to the last person coming out.
It's too much.
It is a little bit too much. Again, if they do it like they did at IndyCar, which I think is 3 at a time, introduce them, let them wave, and let them go off back to their cars and everything, I think that works. I've got to be straight up. I think this works for the crowd there. We don't need to see it.
Yeah.
But, again, imagine you're in the stands, and I know you won't know what it's like being in the stands, Mr. All Access, backstage pass and all that shit.
Yeah,
but for the people in the stands,
the normals.
The normies, the plebs, whatever you want to call them, for them, I think it adds to the experience of being there. It adds value to, being in those grandstands and kind of connects you with them. And it's kind of nice having instruction. You might not know the story of every driver there, especially if you're not a long-term fan. Maybe someone's dragged you along to a Grand Prix and this has given you a little sense of who the people are, I kind of like the spectacle. I like the concept. I just think the execution needs tweaking.
Yeah, I've got no problems with new people coming along and being introduced. It's like when the commentators turn around and explain the tyre situation for the 5 millionth time. I get that, and I know why that's there. That's because you've always got new viewers, and that helps them. And I'm all for bringing new people in and to watch this.
Yeah.
But it really screws up the grid walk, which I thoroughly enjoy. I've always liked the grid walk.
And again, I totally get that, but the grid walk is for us at home. This is for the people there.
It is, but I still like my grid walk.
No, I get. So again, maybe what they need to do is to do this bit earlier on.
Yep. And
get it out of the way for the people there, which is fine, and then we can let them go and do their grid walks and everything.
Yeah.
So maybe that's it. Maybe the order of the day is you drive out to the grid, park your car up, whatever, do your sighting lap, then you go back indoors, you do the big introduction-y sort of thing and everything like that. Then you can go off, get with your drivers, get in your zone, do all your headspace stuff and everything like that, and then do the national anthems, and then they can go and race. So maybe they just bring this bit further forward. Maybe. Just an idea. But like I said, this here was not for the television audiences. This there was... Because again, we get this in those fancy graphics they sometimes have, when they're just showing who's qualified where.
Yeah.
But you can't see those when you're standing in the stands.
Right. Okay, yeah, I see that. Maybe bring it forward a little bit further forward. So there's a bit of a gap in between doing this, and then you have a breather, and then you have your grid walk.
Yes.
Because I don't want to lose the grid walk. I like that.
And I don't think Formula One wants to lose the grid walk either. Again, it's their first time trying something. I doubt they'll try it again in Mexico. I think what they'll do is they'll say, right, we've tried this. Let's put a pin in it. They'll hone it. Maybe we'll see it again somewhere like Abu Dhabi or something like that. Mm-hmm. Maybe Brazil, But I don't think... I think this is just something that's going to evolve, and I'm actually for it because I think it improves the spectacle for the people there watching it.
Yeah.
And that's great because the two things they kind of need to do is improve the spectacle and bring down the ticket prices, and this helps improve the spectacle for the people there watching it.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
I mean, again, having watched it, when Alonso came out, the cheer that went up was huge,
Well, he's probably the only one that they... that sounds really bad, but he's the money man over there, isn't he? If they're going to go watch the Formula One, they're going to be go, right, okay, my boy Alonso, I know him because he was in the Indy 500, and I'm going to be rooting for him. The other guys, Verline, never heard of him.
But that's why you need this, because it introduces them. And I think, like I said, it needs honing, but I'm not against the concept.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I just don't want it to happen in Mexico. I want to go back to the old way. I want to go back to the old. It's like the old qualifying. No.
I don't like change.
Yeah, very reluctant to change.
Is it against the DNA of the sport, Elton?
I'm not saying that, but it is. Yeah. Yeah, it is a little bit. Oh man. Okay, right. Should we get into the race then?
I suppose so.
Okay, so how would you like to take on this race? Because we have, I think I watched the race and I don't think I was very impressed with it. I've watched it again and I was more impressed with it. So
I was in a fair Canada at the time.
Yeah.
And although I was actually watching this at a reasonable time, it's quite hard to watch, a decent stream over there if one doesn't necessarily have a Canadian cable subscription. So my stream kept cutting out, which was damn irritating. So then I watched it properly on the plane. So I kind of watched it in stops and starts.
Yep.
Which was really, really frustrating a couple of points when there was like an overtake about to happen and then the stream would cut out. It was like, no! But the chat down the side kept on going and I was like, fuck off. But once you got on the plane, I really enjoyed it the second time around. So I think, by and large, I still don't think it's the best one of the year because that's obviously the Baku Grand Prix.
Yep.
But I thought it was thoroughly entertaining, even without the latest shenanigans. But, even with the shenanigans, it's even more entertaining. So, I enjoyed it all in all.
Okay. Well, I mean,
it was. I think my only disappointment, if you want to call it that, was it kind of put the final nail in the coffin of the championship. But we can talk about that later.
Okay, well, should we talk about Hamilton first off? Should we just go down the order that they actually finished? Should we try something different?
Well, let's try that. But I'll tell you what, let's do the start and then talk about how they finished. Because do the start because you get going and then we just go down the finishing order.
Okay, cool. Right, well, the start then. We had Lewis Hamilton on pole, as we said before, Sebastian Vettel up alongside him, and we've seen a little bit of tanglement between the front row. We've had the Mercedes touching up this top corner, haven't we? And
yes.
We had a very similar sort of situation with
Hamilton. I do love this
Vettel.
corner. I just want to be clear. I love the first corner at this track. I don't know why. Maybe it's the elevation. Maybe it's the fact that we have so much action going on there. But it's tons of fun.
I'm still not sold on it. Sold on it.
How can you not be sold on it by now?
I don't know. I'm still not sold on it. It just seems it's a gimmick.
It's a gimmick that works. Unlike DRS.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay, I'll give you that. So the start, we had Vettel pulling off. No, I shouldn't say that. That's the 18 version of this podcast.
We've already talked about Grosjean's helmet.
Yeah, Vettel beating. No, that's the wrong one. Hamilton was sluggish off the line.
Did Vettel take him from behind?
He did. Gotta stop it, man.
Euphemism.
Oh, they're coming all over the place. Oh no, not one. Vettel was first into turn one, and by the skin of his teeth, mind you. And Hamilton seemed to have a very slow second phase of his start. I hate all this first and second phase. It's just a start. It's like talking about Batman and Bruce Wayne. No, it's the same person. For fuck's sake. Does my head in, that does. Anyway, so Vettel was first into T1.
Mm-hmm.
Hamilton was alongside him. Vettel was a bit cheeky on the outside, going a little bit wide, off all four wheels off the track.
Really? Well, surely they penalised him.
No, they didn't. No.
Did they not?
No, they did not.
Obviously, he must have not gained an advantage then.
I'm looking forward to this talk. I'm looking forward to... We're building up to this, aren't we? We are building up to this.
It's just like the introductions. We're just teasing it out for as long as possible.
Yeah. Okay. And we had a good battle in prospect with Vettel and Hamilton. This is what we've been missing for the last three races. This is
Yes.
what I've been turning around and saying, look, we need this, otherwise it's going to be a bit dull. Vettel got the jump on him and was leading, and for 2 laps, it was looking all right. And Hamilton ended up just mugging him, really. Mugging him down the back straight.
I think Hamilton had the pace and the confidence here. That what could have happened is they could have started the race. He could have walked out, got into his car, taken off, and still probably won it.
Yeah.
That was the level of dominance he displayed here.
Yeah.
And look, regular listeners here know we don't really have any love for Hamilton. We respect him. Yeah. But we're not fanatics by any stretch of the mean. But he was so far on a different planet. This was literally, he was in a Formula 1 car and everyone else was in an F2 car.
Yeah.
That was the kind of distance, that was the level here. So
that's what that move warranted as well, wasn't it? It was like a different class of car.
You know what it was? It was an LMP1 car overtaking a GT. Yeah. It was just like mirror, signal, maneuver, done.
Yeah. It was just too easy. It was just too easy. But there was talk of Vettel not saving his tyres through the second part of the lap where you're kind of supposed to be saving them. Once again, leads up to, okay, why do we need to save tyres? But, that's just another quibble that I have with Formula 1, which I think is wrong at the moment. So,
there's plenty wrong.
Yeah, there's absolutely loads wrong. While that was happening, we had Daniel Ricciardo. He was getting really het up, and he was putting on quite a show for everyone at one point. He was down the inside of Bottas, and he tried it a couple of times and didn't quite make it, then made it stick, and he was getting quite feisty. He was getting quite feisty. So, I was enjoying watching him there. But alas, that was not to be, was it? He ended up... What was his problem with his car? It was just the engine, wasn't it?
Ended up with a bag of spanners in the back of it, I think.
Yep.
Although that does remind me of something we didn't mention, and I'll mention it very briefly here. Possible... So firstly, Verstappen signed on for a longer-term deal with Red Bull.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently had an upgrade that Ricciardo wasn't aware of. So he's safe.
For this race?
For this race.
Oh, okay. So, Daniel Ricciardo, where is he going to be driving a Ferrari very, very soon?
Well, all I'll say is Lewis Hamilton today says that he's really would be excited by the prospect of being a partner to him. So
that okay, I hadn't thought of that. That's interesting. I wouldn't have. Okay. He doesn't seem quite the fit in Mercedes. I'm sure he'd do really well.
I think. Well, I would have thought Ferrari would be the obvious choice, but it's not going to happen while Vettel's there.
Yeah. Yeah, Vettel wants a number 2 there, doesn't he?
Well, not only does he want a number 2, apparently he's scared of Ricciardo.
He's scared of everyone.
Except Kimi.
Yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough. I think if you put Hamilton and Vettel in the same car, Hamilton would beat him. If you put Vettel and Ricciardo in the same car, Ricciardo would... Well, he did beat him. It's already been proven. He did beat him. Verstappen in the Ferrari, I think Verstappen might beat him. Yeah, I think, maybe he's just trying to checkmate everyone into not getting into a Ferrari. Interesting. Okay, I totally forgot about that as well. Okay, so where did I get to? Danny was out. He had an engine blow. He just came around one of the corners and all of a sudden, whoop, gone.
Yeah.
Totally dead. No safety car though, thank goodness. No virtual safety car, and it was all sorted out. He parked it in a really good place, so no one was really impeded for that.
He just pulled over somewhere, and that was just the way it was. So, c'est la vie. Huge shame because again had high hopes for Danny Rick.
Yep.
But alas, 'twas not to be.
Yeah. Kimi and Bottas had quite a duel as well, which was nice. Bottas didn't have the speed that Hamilton had this weekend, did he?
No, I mean, again, Bottas, ever since the break, has kind of been struggling a little bit. It sounds like the development direction the Mercedes has taken since then has not suited him as well as it suited Hamilton, which is obviously understandable. They're focusing more on him. So I think, he's just been struggling to adapt his style. I don't think we could be too hard on him, because I don't think this Mercedes is as dominant as it has been. But I just think Hamilton's risen his game so much, it's kind of filling in those divots, if you will.
Yeah, smoothing it off a little bit, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I think I've said my bit about Bottas anyway, so...
Yeah, I mean, it was just, if I could quote from the great Immortum Joe, mediocre.
Okay, that reference is lost on me.
Oh, you've not seen Mad Max, have you?
Oh, I've seen Mad Max, yeah.
Fury Road, the new one?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Mediocre. They say it a lot.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
It's been so long since I've seen that.
Maybe you need to watch it again.
Nah, it's a bit dull. Hello?
You and I are having words later, mate.
I know. Okay, so any other interesting thing? There was a bit where, I know this is jumping forward a little bit, but Vettel did do a nice move on Bottas. There was a point where they were coming up to lap someone, and he had to thread the eye of a needle to get round
Stoffel
him.
Van Dorn they were going to lap.
Yeah.
And Stoffel got out of the way, and Bottas went to cover the inside, and Vettel was like, I don't care, go on the outside.
He went round the outside and on the inside of Van Dorn. Yeah.
Well, Van Dorn effectively, left the track because he was like, I ain't getting involved in this.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, no penalty, though.
No penalty. There was also an incident because Sainz was doing so well, because Hulkenberg was out with an engine problem after 3 laps. Sainz, all the Renault boys were placing their bets on Sainz, getting up the order a little bit, and he was doing all right. And he was pestering the Force Indias, because the Force Indias would normally just pester each other, and yet having a Renault thrown in there, they were like, what is this? What's going on here?
Sacre bleu!
Yeah, and Sainz was dicing with Ocon at one point. This was towards the end of the race. And he really did take quite a sharp corner, to the point where he went outside the track limits.
Did he really?
Yeah, and didn't get a penalty.
Well, surely he didn't gain an advantage, then, obviously.
He didn't gain an advantage because he didn't get the pass done. So I think that's the reason why that was just ignored. That was just a case of, well, nothing happened, so let's just sweep that one under the carpet. But I think if he had, then eyes may have been gazed over that.
Ah, yes.
Which
quite possibly
may have been helpful. May have been helpful for future reference.
It might well have been. I did like the radio messages between the Force Indias, because you had Perez behind Ocon, and he's saying, "Can I go past? Because I'm faster." And then I let him go back, and they're just like, "Nope."
Yeah, they know the answer, don't they?
They just said, "Nope." Can I race him? Nope.
How about no?
But I want to, nope. How about no?
But I guarantee Mexico next week, or this weekend coming, it'll be swapped around, and it'll be Ocon asking, "Yeah, can I go past Perez? I'm faster than him." They're clearly so evenly matched. And yet...
they're perfectly evenly matched, and they're literally getting the best they can out of a car. I don't think any two drivers are getting the most out of a car like those two are.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just like, can we race? Nope. But what if we nope? How about if I promise nope?
Yeah, it's the equivalent of mum looking at you, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Again, you even had they had the team manager on the radio with the Sky, and they're just like, "So are you going to let your boys race?" And he's just like, "Nope."
They're not allowed to race. It's brilliant. But they ruined it for themselves. They only have themselves to blame.
It is true. It is literally the equivalent of, they said, "Look, if you two don't start behaving, I'm going to turn this championship around and take us back to Australia."
I'm going to knock your helmets together.
Yep.
Oh, dear. Okay, what else do we have? What happened to Alonso? I can't remember Alonso. Oh, he had an engine problem, didn't he?
Engine broke down, yes.
Really?
Wah, wah, wah,
Honda
wah.
engine blowing up in America?
I was shocked too. Although, unlike the last time out, he wasn't fighting for the lead with the last 10 laps to go. No. Yeah, he was out on lap 24.
But he was in the points at the time, though, wasn't he?
He was, yep. I mean, again, something that Martin Brundle said in the commentary, he goes, it's one thing to be slow, but to be unreliable and slow, that's unforgivable.
Yeah, that's right. I want to talk about the pit stops for a little bit, because this really did, it twisted things up ever so slightly, especially later on in the race. We had Vettel trying something earlier on. His tyres went off anyway, quite soon, and Hamilton had I'm going to say maybe a 4 to 6 second lead on him for quite some time. Then he dropped in. I think he was 7 seconds behind when he dropped into the pits. I think a lap later Hamilton dropped in, and Vettel nearly beat him into turn 1 as Hamilton was coming out the pits. Nearly, so close. And he laid a lovely set of 11s down right behind him as well. But yeah, he lost a lot of time there, and Hamilton was on the radio asking, why is he so close, guys? What's going on? And justifiably as well, but I think Vettel just had the bit between his teeth. Maybe Hamilton was coasting a little bit, maybe thinking he had a little bit in reserve. Wait, he done just enough to stay ahead.
Oh, he said, why is he behind us? But I don't think it was a problem. I literally think it's just a case of, it's not a problem. I would accelerate, but I just want to know why. It just felt like that. It's just like, is it a problem? No, it's no problem. I'm just curious, Yeah. Oh, bye.
I'll just accelerate now. Yeah, it's fine.
Yes.
Bye-bye. And that little red dot gets smaller and smaller. The pit stops later on in the race, Verstappen, they tried something different with him. They put him onto a 2-stop strategy. And towards the end of the race, lap 40-ish, they dropped him in and said, look, we know what we're doing. Just go for it. Let's see what we can do. The race may come to you later on. And it did that chain effect thing where other people saw him do that, and so they needed to react to it as well.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember who came in as well. I know Bottas had to. Raikkonen had to as well.
Bottas left it quite late. I mean, he literally came in like second to last lap, I think it was, after everyone had passed him.
Yeah.
Because, he was just fucked. But yeah.
It was Raikkonen, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, Raikkonen, and I think that was more just to cover off Verstappen more than anything.
Yeah.
So, yes. That would be my guess.
But I think it was a good move. It's nice to see someone else trying something instead of trying to manage these tyres all the way to the end of the race. Now, people that have listened to us from the very beginning know that I have a bit of a grudge on these tyres. I feel that they should have more of a cliff on them, and not a very predictable cliff. It should be a case of you can run as hard as you want to on these tyres for a set amount of time, and there's the cliff. They drop off. Now we need to get them changed. Instead of this gradually real sharp gradient where they just drop off slowly, it's just, it encourages management. It's like the fuel management as well. If you encourage management into it instead of pure hard racing, then I think you lose the racing.
Well, I mean, that is something I've been saying for quite a while. I don't want to, I yearn for qualifying tyres, qualifying engines. I want to see the fastest man going as fast as is humanly possible. And to hell with all your engine saving and reliability. No, I want your car to do, you got a 55 lap race? I want that car to do 55 and a half laps and then explode.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. But, again, we don't live in a world where that's particularly conducive or appealing to manufacturers. So, we just have to make do. I agree with the tyres. I mean, the problem is it seems they always go one of two ways. It's I suppose the problem is the mentality. I think what Pirelli and Formula One would like is that the teams would pit stop more, you know. But what they do is they just try and manage the tyres longer. I don't want that. I want them to, you know, like you say, you know, I want racing. I don't want you worried about your tyre life. I don't want you saving it for the end. I want you full beans all time, you know, maximum attack.
Yeah, the races aren't long enough. They want IndyCar style races where they stop 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get that. The races aren't long enough.
Yeah, and I don't particularly think we want longer races. I think what we just need is a better tyre ratio. I mean, that being said, I did used to love, though, when you'd have, you know, Senna would do 3 pit stops and Prost would do 1. Because, you know, their different driving styles would reflect that. And you just don't see that anymore.
No, you don't have the... I suppose you do have slightly different styles, but they're all so close to each other. Right,
I think part of the problem is, you know, with the computer simulations... I'm not talking about the driving simulators. I mean the predictive models. They know what's the quickest way to do it.
Yeah.
And they're going to go for the quickest way unless for some reason they're forced otherwise. There's no incentive to mix things up a bit.
No, and all the teams have very similar sort of software and equipment, don't they? So they all know they're all going to do the same sort of strategy. That's why I don't think refueling would do much.
No, I mean, I did enjoy refueling back in the day, but I don't particularly miss it anymore.
No.
And again, it's because, you know, this comes down to the fact that as clever as the rule makers try and be, the engineers are always smarter. You set rules, they are going to find ways around the rules. You know, it's the whole... I mean, the only hope now is you've got Ross Brawn, who was the master at finding the loopholes in the rules, has now become the gamekeeper.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can do some rules which, I mean, if you look to, say, Le Mans or MotoGP or something like that, the rules state, as far as like engines go, you know, you can drive a diesel hybrid, you can have a petrol hybrid, you can have a full hybrid, you can have 4-wheel drive, you can have 2-wheel drive, and they regulate the regulations freely to maintain parity. The way Formula One is set up with the tail wagging the dog, they can't do that yet.
Yeah.
But hopefully come 2020, when the Concord Agreement runs out, they can effectively wrestle the control back from the teams and just have that freedom to alter the rules as they need to.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
They basically need to get the teams out of the rule-making business.
Oh,
because the teams are always going to do what's in their own best interests. They don't give a fuck about the sport. They don't give a fuck about the spectacle. They want to win the race.
Of course.
They want to win the race in the most boring fashion possible. They want to shoot off from pole, half a lap up the road, and just sit there.
Yeah.
That's what they want to do.
You get any team and they will all turn around and say, yeah, that's exactly what they want to do. Mercedes have done it. Ferrari have done it. Red Bull have done it. Williams have done it.
I
McLaren have done it.
I heard a suggestion which I thought was great for wind tunnels, right? You can only use a wind tunnel if you have 2 models and you can only take data off of the second one, which is behind the first.
Oh,
so
yeah,
all your wind tunnel data has to come off of a car in dirty air.
Which is, it does stagger me that they don't do that.
Well, of course
maybe they do that, but...
No, they don't do that, though, because they want their car to run the best as it can in clean air.
But more often than not, they're behind another car.
No, they're not. They get behind another car and they just fall back and just sit there.
Yeah. Oh, man.
The thing is, the teams focus solely on one car at a time, not taking into account there's 19 others on the track. And that's the mentality that has to change.
Yeah. Also, you have engineers which have got so many degrees and so clever in aerodynamics and mechanical grip and all these other places that they got their degrees from. Whereas back in the 70s, you had Ken Tyrrell working out of a garage, going, yeah.
Bruce McLaren?
Yeah. All these other guys.
He's got a spanner. If it doesn't work, hit it with a hammer.
Exactly. They had a hammer and a spanner and a rivet gun.
Yep. And
went, do you know what? That looks wicked. That looks fast. But
have you run a physical mechanical impulse stress routine on it? What? Have you kicked it? Yeah, that got it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, I think we've been around the bush enough.
Euphemism.
Yeah. Anything else that you want to call out before we get to the final lap?
Get to the juicy stuff. Just having a quick think back through if anything.
We had Vettel lapping Magnussen and Ericsson trying to go through, and he tapped Magnussen and spun him round. I remember that. Yeah,
there was a couple of messy passes, further back. Because didn't Magnussen first clip Pascal Wehrlein early on?
Yeah, and he was retired from it, wasn't he?
Yeah, and then he goes out on this one. Yeah, it's just messy, and it just seems unnecessarily messy.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, it's just don't know where Haas has gone from.
Towards the very end, we had Kimi Räikkönen and Vettel swap places, which was nice for Vettel.
Yes, it was rather sedately just kind of move over, mirror signal maneuver. Ledal. I mean, that's the problem with passing most of the time now in Formula 1, which leads into the chat we're going to have in a second. But, it is that, you get up behind them, the DRS is open, you close in, they can go one way because you can't move while you're being passed. And they check their mirrors, indicate, pull out, pass, pull in, job done. And it's just, there's the MotoGP race this weekend as well.
Oh, is there? Whereabouts?
It was Phillip Island on Australia. I didn't catch it, but I read the report afterwards. Pack racing pretty much the entire way through. And do you want to know how close this pack racing was? Valentino Rossi had tyre marks up his shoulder.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's, and that's the thing, you get what you used to call the truly trains and all that in MotoGP.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter there because there is no, dirty air doesn't affect them. It all comes down to commitment, last of the late breakers, and how much life you've got in your tyres to make it work. And yeah, you had like 5 or 6 people, including privateers, fighting for the lead up until the last lap.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. When was the last time we saw that in Formula 1, eh?
Oh, I don't know.
In 82, I think.
Yeah, probably, yeah. Okay, right. Let's get into the meat and two veg of what we're trying to skirt around at the moment.
Would this involve one Mr. M. Verstappen?
Yes, right. Okay, we had a case where Kimi Räikkönen let Vettel through. He was not going to touch Hamilton. Hamilton was, 10, 15 seconds up the line. Verstappen had worked his way up from the back, from 16th. And he'd steadily worked his way up, and he was doing really well. He'd passed quite neatly on everyone that he'd had. He also had 2 stops, which threw a little spanner in the work for everyone else. It also means that they're thinking on their feet and trying something different, and he's able to respond to that as well.
Oh, yes.
And he was closing in on Kimi Räikkönen. There was a possibility that Vettel was either running out of A, fuel, or B, tyres. And so the same with Kimi Räikkönen, because I think he had his turbo turned up and then he was told to turn it down. Some of the radio chatter was really good this race. Kimi Räikkönen was turning around and saying, what are you doing? No, I like it. Now the car feels really sluggish. I want it faster again. Yes, you do want it faster, but we have to manage it. Remember that if you want to actually get to the end of the race. But he was coming under quite severe fire from Max Verstappen. Now, we've been promised this race after race after race of something happening towards the end, and it hasn't really occurred, has it? We've all turned around and gone, 2 laps from the end, he'll be right up there and doing something with it. It happened this race. It actually happened this race. We got a pass.
Finally happened.
We got a pass on a corner where we don't expect it. It was a lunge. It was a really good pass, and it was a punch the air moment for everyone involved, I think. Even massive Kimi Räikkönen fans like me were like, okay, brilliant, excellent, got no problems in that.
It was the thrill of the hunt. He'd been hunted him down. He finally got the kill.
Yeah.
And it was like, yes, gladiators fighting, this is what we want, blood sports. At this point, you kind of want Charlie Whiting to go out on the podium and, puts the thumb down and then Kimi's tires explode off the car or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Or the crowd baying for his blood.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
Maximus.
So, Max Verstappen got a pass done on Kimi Räikkönen. Now, I'm trying to remember what corner it was. It was the long 17-18 corner, wasn't it?
Yes.
Nice long...
switchback, yeah.
Yeah. And it was deemed to be an illegal move. Now, it was deemed an illegal move because he'd gone over track limits. Now, bearing in mind, we've been speaking about track limits and no one else has really received a penalty for track limits. There was a moment where they were saying track limits are really off the card. I think they said that after qualifying, I think it was, or just before qualifying. And nobody was really paying any attention. So, Max Verstappen passes Kimi Räikkönen. Kimi Räikkönen left enough room, but Max Verstappen went he was given an inch and he took a bit of a mile, in my opinion.
Oh, yes.
It's very similar to what Sainz did early on in the race, but did not get the move done. Now, if he had, then maybe we would have had precedent for what we're just about to speak of.
Let us also, just very quickly to frame this, cast our mind back to the Mexican Grand Prix last year.
Okay.
Do you remember what happened at the Mexican Grand Prix last year?
I remember Max Verstappen going deep into a corner, running over a corner, and Vettel not being able to hunt him down because he kept his foot down.
Long story short, as I remember this, Max Verstappen got a 5-second penalty and was promoted to... No, Max finished third. All right, so here's how he finished, right? I think. I'm trying to remember. Long story short, there was 2 different penalties resulting in 2 different changes on the podium.
Yeah.
These weren't dealt with afterwards because I think Max Verstappen was given a 5-second penalty.
Yeah.
But then Sebastian Vettel was given a 10-second penalty for a separate infraction.
That was for slagging off Charlie, wasn't it?
But
that was after the podium. Because I remember...
Again, I can't remember all the details. I just know that one of the reasons why they decided to do it really quickly this time out was to try and avoid that again. Mm-hmm. They didn't want to do the podium ceremony, and then later on they find out that, because of shenanigans, it's different. So that's would seem to be why their thinking was, we have to deal with this now.
Right. Okay. So, what ended up happening is Hamilton won the race, Vettel came second, and coming across the line, Max Verstappen. 4.9 seconds later, Kimi Räikkönen, because he'd backed off ever so slightly, and he looked physically slower coming off that last corner as well. So God knows how he got it over that in time. He came across in 4th. They decided to switch to give Max Verstappen a 5-second penalty because of cut-in corners or track limits were impeded. And so in the cool-down room, Max Verstappen was drinking his bottle of water, which was really Kimi Räikkönen's bottle of water. And we had that awkward moment when you had Sebastian and Kimi stood next to each other, looking at Max going, yeah, you're not supposed to be here, mate. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
Yes,
fine.
He had to do the walk of shame out of a VIP section because he had the wrong ticket.
Yeah, he did, yeah. Yeah, you've been rumbled, mate.
Yeah.
So, let's get to the incident. Do you think it warrants a 5-second penalty? Do you think he cut the corner? Do you think it's...
Okay, let's break this down. Did he exceed track limits? Yes.
Yes.
He did. There's no two ways about it. He went... all 4 wheels were off the track. So, yes. By the definition, he exceeded track limits. Did he deserve a 5-second penalty? Well, if you subscribe that he had to have a penalty, it was the most lenient penalty of which they could have given him. Mm-hmm. So in that case, it's fine. The real question you're asking, and what this is all about, is should he have gotten a penalty at all?
Yeah.
That is the question.
Okay. Your answer?
This isn't a yes or no sort of answer. This boils down to one thing and one thing only. Consistency.
Okay.
Because you can't have a fair championship fight if you change the rules. If one rule must apply to everyone or no one.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it. It is kind of appalling that, a sport like Formula One, which is all about technology and all that sort of stuff, doesn't have effectively goal line technology at this point.
Uh-huh.
Why can't we have two transponders either side of the car's floor? You exceed the track limit. Beep. Oh, you've exceeded the track limits. Simple as that. You can have a little light go on the dashboard so they can slow down or something like that. Or how about this? If they exceed the track limits with all four wheels, it cuts the throttle.
Yep, that'll be good.
Just cuts the throttle. That's if you want. Look, Niki Lauda said, as far as he's concerned, the track limits are between the walls.
Oh, Jesus.
That's what he thinks it should be. That's senseless, but I can kind of see his point where he's coming from with that.
Yeah, because his last words as he hit the wall in Nürburgring was track limits, weren't they?
Something like that. I mean, look, at the end of the day, you have those tarmac runoff areas. Drivers are going to use them. Get rid of those. Put AstroTurf down. Put gravel down. We know this because we see it in Monaco. Drivers do not exceed the track limits at Monaco because there are no track limits at Monaco. If you exceed them, you hit concrete, you break your car.
I think you said this in Austria last year where the guys, they can keep the cars off the curbs when they want to, when it's wet.
Yeah.
They have that control.
Oh, they absolutely have that control. And we used to see it all the time in Spa, where in that first corner, it was Kimi's favourite move, was to effectively say, fuck turn one, I'll go straight on and up to hill. Mm-hmm. And he would come out, he'd literally go from the back of the grid to the first one there. And they would always write it off as a first corner, first lap thing, until they didn't. It's, like I said, my only issue with it at all is the lack of consistency. It's literally, you penalise everyone or you penalise no one. It's at every corner or it's at no corners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I'm with you on track limits. The track limits should have been adhered to. I think that is a problem with the stewards all weekend. They should have been tougher with it. But then again, I can't see why. Everyone knows the width of these cars. They're 2 meters wide, yes?
Yep.
So why not 1 meter and 85 centimeters have a ring of either AstroTurf or grass or something that's a little bit slipperier than the actual grey stuff that they're supposed to be racing on. Have that there and have that circling all the corners. You don't have to put it on the straights, just on the corners. And then if they touch it, once again, it cuts the throttle, or you get a message up at the HQ, or it just slowly impedes them. It slips. You don't get the grip. And I can't see why they can't do that.
Well, I mean, again, I don't see why they can't do that. Again, you can have a transponder which literally will put a light on the dashboard and back to race control. So there's no arguments over whether or not you've exceeded the track limits. You have. And again, I don't see why you can't have like a limiter. Effectively, you go over that, it cuts your throttle. Mm-hmm. Because I'll tell you what, if you do that, I guarantee you not a single driver will voluntarily exceed the track limits.
No.
Not one.
No. Right, can I give you my opinion on the actual penalty itself?
Of course.
I think he should have been penalised for it.
He was penalised for it.
But I agree with the penalisation. I don't know, the penalty.
Oh, yeah. Me too, to be perfectly honest, because like I said, he was banged to right. He had all four wheels. He exceeded the track limits. My issue is because it has been inconsistent. I mean, and the only defence him or Christian Horner or anyone has was to point at other people and say, well, you didn't do him.
Yeah.
Or to say at other corners. And it's like, I mean, the whole about gaining an advantage thing is bollocks. It literally has to be, you exceed the track limits, you are penalised. I don't think the time penalties work because, that's too arbitrary, which is why I think if you could do something which would cut the throttle momentarily until you're back on it. It's like, hell, you're playing bumper cars and you go outside with electricity fit. Mm-hmm. You run out of power. There you go.
Yeah.
There is zero reason why these cars... I mean, you've got pit lane limiters. There you go. You exceed the track limits, the pit lane limiter comes on automatically until you're back on the track.
Yeah.
That will fucking stop them.
Yeah, because it screw up their engines as well. The technicians would not like that either.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the thing. We've seen it throughout all of human history, all of Formula One in history. These drivers will push the limits of the track and the rules to the nth degree and then over it a little bit more. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with a penalty. He was banged to right. I just don't agree with the lack of consistency because, I mean, I'm sure someone will point back to other races throughout the series. I mean, remember last year at Baku where radio transmissions were banned?
Yep.
And then like 2 races later, they weren't banned.
Yep.
I mean, the outcome of the championship could have been altered from a penalty from receiving technical data from the radio, a rule which then disappeared.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't have a legitimate sport where the rules change that much. They need consistency. That's what it comes down to. It's much better these days with driver stewards than it used to be back in the day. Trust me, people, it is better than it used to be. But we still don't have that level of consistency there. It needs to be, you break the rule, you have a penalty. This is the penalty you receive. As long as everyone's playing on that same rule book, it's all fine and fair. It's when you don't have that consistency, people will point to something like this instance and say, that's not fair.
Yeah. Okay, right. God, there's so many things I want to bring up on that you've just mentioned. Okay, right. Remind me about Mika Salo because we need to go into that.
I will remind you about Mika Salo, yeah.
Right. I will say my bit about this penalty compared to all the other times that people went off track. This was a move on an inside corner. He wasn't on the outside. He didn't gain an advantage by going wide on a corner and then cutting across. It wasn't a case of... He clearly gained an advantage through that corner. He kept the position. There was a point where he went to go underneath Bottas. Bottas defended and went wide on a corner, but then he got him on the next corner. I think Bottas would have been told to give that position back anyway. But with people going wide on turn 19, that's not the same as cutting a corner on the inside where you're making the track even shorter than what it is.
Yep.
You're not elongating and then keeping your foot on the throttle. You're technically lengthening it, but opening up the corner when you go wide on turn 19. Yes. But you're not making the track shorter. And that's why I totally agree with this penalty, because he cut the corner in the literal sense of using up less distance to get to that finishing line.
Yes, there were less miles on his car than on Kimi's.
Exactly, yes. And people were bitching and moaning and whinging and whining about it. And I get why they are, because track limits were kind of non-existent in this race. And that is the steward's fault. But when they need to look at all the other instances and science, he didn't make that. I think if he had made that move on Ocon, then he would have been told to give that place back or given a time penalty or something would have been sorted out. But he didn't overtake a car using that system. There was a tweet that I saw where people highlighted track limit situations, and one was Vettel in the very first corner where he went wide. He'd already made the move. He was already in front of Hamilton. We've seen Hamilton push other cars off. I've tried to defend him on that. Mm-hmm. And then he goes and does it again. He did it at Monaco last year. But every driver does that. I don't agree with it, but some people do agree with that. That's fine. But that going wide in turn 1 is not the same as cutting the inside on turn 17 and 18. It's totally different. Totally different. That's why you didn't get the penalties there.
Yeah.
Now, I like Verstappen. I like his fiery temperament. I like the skill that he's got. I like everything that he brings to Formula One. But if you cut the corner like that, that's cheating. And that deserves to be penalised.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, one of the things I've seen is the whole, and I've seen a lot of former drivers, Nico Rosberg, Alex Wurz, and all that say, "Oh, this goes against what the sport wants to be. We want to see gladiators fighting." Well, I'm sorry, as I've already mentioned, Formula One is all about mirror signal maneuver these days. I mean, I'm pretty sure both of the Ferrari drivers were up in arms about Verstappen for the whole moving under braking.
Yeah,
it's like, look, you can't really have this both ways. I want to see, and I've said this many times on this cast, I want to see these guys hammered. I don't want this no moving under braking bollocks. I want to be able to weave down the straight. If you want to get by me, you have got to fucking earn it. That's what I want to see. I want to see the drivers being able to follow close enough that they can slipstream right up to that rear diffuser and then skirt around them. And if a guy in front is weaving backwards and forwards, I want to see the car behind doing that too until it makes its move and scoots around past them. I want to see them fighting tooth and nail. But what I want most of all is I want consistency in the rules. Because if the reason people go around saying, oh, the FIA is biased towards Ferrari is because when shit like this happens and it almost inevitably ends up in Ferrari's favour, they point to this and say, oh, you see, it's Ferrari International Assistance. That's what it stands for and shit like that. It's like, no, it doesn't. But this doesn't help its case. I want a formula which isn't impossible to overtake and to follow cars in there. I want a formula where the best drivers can follow the car, can plan and plot a move over a couple of laps. I want a situation where we can literally have 5 cars nose to tail down a straight and a 4th car suddenly comes out in front.
Yeah.
I want that.
Yeah. That'd be lovely.
Absolutely. It would be amazing. Yeah. But I don't know if we're going to see that. I'd hope that with Ross Brawn, again, working out these technical rules, as soon as the teams are taken away from the rules, I think we can start to see that evolve. But it's just not going to happen just now.
No.
But yeah, this whole thing here, it all just comes down to a lack of consistency. And that's if they had done this every time someone exceeded track limits, given them a penalty, there would be no argument. But they didn't. But equally so, if they'd have done that, everyone would be complaining, oh, the stewards are so heavy-handed.
Yeah. Well, there was a situation after the race. I think they had the rester turn around and say, well, I want to see gravel traps on every corner. Which, okay, I get that. But in the 90s, where people were going off and sliding off into a gravel trap, apart from Michael Schumacher in Germany, and they were out the race, and people were moaning. And I suppose, to a certain extent, I was moaning because people would make a silly mistake, they'd go off into a gravel trap, and that was it. You were out. Now, you had this wave of people wanting runoff areas, and now tracks have gone, okay, fine, well, we'll do runoff areas. But the tracks can't keep changing. It costs them too much to lay down a gravel track and then pick it up.
So what we need here is a penalty in terms of an obvious thing which will slow the car down and make it unappealing to go off the circuit without destroying the ability for the car to continue.
Yeah, I'm all up for a kind of moat of gravel around the corners.
You see, the problem you get there is it gets thrown onto the track.
I've got no problem with that.
Yeah, you may not have any problem with that, but I think a lot of people would have a lot of problem with that. It will damage cars, potentially damage wheels and stuff like that. And I don't want that, because again, if you do that, you are in a situation where no one is going to deliberately do it. It's an accident. It can mess up stuff. Like I said, I think the best way to do it is some sort of electronic penalty. I honestly think if you did something because these are all electronic throttles. It's not a cable. It's all an electronic signal. Mm. If you exceed the track limits, your input from your throttle is cut. Your throttle goes to idle. Your car's not going to stop. You steer back on the track, your throttle re-engages. But I'll tell you what, you will learn damn quickly to stop going over that line.
Yeah. But do you know what? you could have a situation where you have, let's just take Grosjean for a minute. If he goes off and then he can't make it back onto the track and he's so close to crossing over that white line to get his throttle back, but he just doesn't, and then he stops. And you can see him bouncing up and down in his car trying to get it to move again.
Well, while I would pay good money to see him do that,
yeah,
it might be a case of, like I said, maybe it cuts the throttle and engages the limiter. So you do have throttle, but you're limited to 60 miles an hour, or whatever the pit lane. My point is, this is a problem which I think needs a technical and electrical solution rather than relying on the stewards and relying on the trust of the drivers. It boils down to, you, like I said before, it's either against the rules every corner, every circuit, or it's fine every corner, every circuit. We can't have this picking and choosing. It's got to have the consistency.
I think the drivers should shoulder some of the problem here. They are part of the problem.
So you're thinking some sort of electric shocks, perhaps?
Well, all that would be entertaining, but I feel that's not the way to go. But they've caused this problem. They wanted massive runoff areas so they could stay in the race, because some of them weren't that good to stay in the race. They now abuse that situation. They've got the runoff areas they want, and now they take the piss. Let's be honest, they're taking the piss. When they go,
the piss has been well and truly taken.
Yeah, and it's got to the point where now they're taking the piss, and then they moan when they get penalised for taking the piss. So I'm getting insulted with that now. They can fuck off if they want to do that. They need to regulate themselves. They need to turn around and say, look, we're all sportsmen. There should be a code of conduct throughout them, and say, look, we can fight hard, we can fight fair. Don't take the piss. But I don't think anyone's standing up and doing that. Everyone's like, well, we would just run wide. Well, if Hamilton's doing it, then Grosjean will do it. If Verlaine's doing it, well, then Alonso can do it. No, you've all got to get together and stop taking the fucking piss. And then stop moaning about when people put baguette curbs. Oh, it damages my car. Well, keep off of them then. Keep off of them. You're not supposed to go on them. They're there to stop you from going wide. And that's what really frustrates me with it. And yet they sit around, they put their sunglasses on so you can't see into their soul, and they just sit there going, well, it's not fair on me, is it? No, fuck off, man. Look, you're going to be gone in 10 years. I'm still going to be here watching it. And I don't want you moaning about that. It shouldn't happen. Imagine if football turned around and said, well, yeah, the ball was technically over the line, but it was only a little bit over the line, so let's not have a throw-in. There needs to be a hard and fast thing about this. They really need to cramp down on this. I'm actually getting quite annoyed.
It sounds it, yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's drivers, engineers, the teams. Their focus isn't on the sport. It isn't on the fans. It isn't on the entertainment. Despite what they all say, it's about doing the best for them.
Yeah.
It's about winning. You can't trust them in this instance, which is why the FIA need to find a way to regulate it. And they need to find a way, ideally, to regulate it and effectively take people out of the equation. If it's an electronic system, if it's an automatic system, it's like the pit lane speed limiters. If you see so-and-so car is being investigated for speeding in the pit lane, you know they're fucked.
Yeah.
Because there's no ambiguity. They're not investigating it. They know you damn well you've done it. That's effectively just giving you the warning saying, we're about to penalise this guy for speeding in the pit lane. Yeah. Here's your penalty.
Yeah, they have to warn them, don't they?
Yeah. So it may as well be the same thing for this. So-and-so is being investigated for track limits. And then, well, the electronic thing's beeped. You've gone over the track limits. Fine. That's a 5-second penalty either at the end of a race or on your next pit stop. Or alternatively, you exceed the track limits, your throttle's cut, you get back on, you carry on. Then it doesn't matter then, because if you've exceeded it. So if Verstappen tries to do that with that system, as soon as he goes over his throttle cut, Raikkonen is still ahead.
If this had happened 15 laps from the end, Do you think Horner would have got onto the radio and told him to give the position back to Kimi Räikkönen?
Probably. Or he'd have been told by the FIA to give the place back.
Yeah, give the place back.
But that's when teams will do something a bit dodgy to fuck with the other one. They'll pit.
Yeah.
Because then you can't give the place back. And they do it deliberately because they know they fucked the person. It's like, oh, well, fine. Screw you, buddy.
Yeah. Mika Salo. Now, there was some words said about him, quite derogatory as well, about him being Finnish and the person that Max Verstappen overtook being Finnish. And, who did Mika Salo drive for? Ferrari. Oh, do you know who else he drove for? He drove for Red Bull Sauber as well. So, it's people just coming out because it's happened to Ferrari. People love to jump on that and just kick it, don't they? And it is, I get it. I get why it happened because it did seem that way at some point, especially in 99 where Ferrari were kicked out of the race and then reinstated for the race. But I also think, I think that time has gone a little bit. Yeah, they get they get truckloads of money thrown at them for just being Ferrari. And I don't really agree with that, but
I don't think that's going to last with Liberty Media, to be honest.
No, I don't think that will.
I don't think they will view Ferrari as the golden goose that they think they are.
No, they'll probably whittle them down ever so slightly and bring.
Well, the thing is, at the end of the day, I think Ferrari needs Formula One more than Formula One needs Ferrari.
Yeah.
And I say that because where else is Ferrari? They're in GT. No one gives a fuck about GT.
Yeah.
At all. Seriously, no one gives any fucks.
If they had a LMP1 car, then you could throw that stick around.
You could have done until this year. But now that all you've got left is Toyota, that's gone as well.
Yeah.
They literally don't have any other option. So if Ferrari decide to be belligerent, this is what happens. They're told they're going to lose their payment. They say, fine, we're going to quit Formula One. They quit Formula One. 5 years later, they come crawling back.
Yeah.
Because Ferrari need it for their marketing more than I think Formula One needs Ferrari. Especially if Liberty can build an entertaining sport outside of that.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, it's only a tradition up until it's not a tradition. It's only no one's ever won a race off of a first front row until someone does.
Yeah.
So it's only going to be, there's always been a Ferrari on the circuit until there isn't.
Yeah. And then it's just the norm, really, isn't it?
It is. And at the end of the day, if Ferrari calls their bluff and goes, well, then you've thrown all of your cards away.
Yeah. Back to Mika Salo. I don't agree with Jos and Max calling out Mika Salo. They didn't name check him, but you know exactly who they're talking about and saying, I think Max called him an idiot as well. And, okay, tempers are high, adrenaline is flowing, but be careful a little bit.
It is a sign of Max Verstappen I have not liked of late, and I know we've picked up on it a few times. It's when things aren't going his way.
Do you reckon that's his old man coming through a little bit?
I do. Jos the boss, as they call him, for whatever reason. But I just feel that there's I don't want to say a dark side. It's a bit like Schumacher, you've got the talent, undeniable talent, and you've got the kind of jovial personality. But when things don't go their way, there is a harshness underneath all that. There's a steel, and when that gets bared, it's unpleasant to look at.
Almost entitlement. Entitlement.
Almost. And again, if this whole thing, I don't know what's going to be made of it, what the story is here, but if he got an upgrade to his car and Ricciardo wasn't even notified of it or given the option, I'd be asking lots of questions there. I mean, again, they signed a deal and apparently Ricciardo was blindsided by that. He didn't know it was coming. So it's like, well, are you setting him up to be your new Vettel?
Well, yeah, that's right.
Because I'll point out that the person currently fourth in the championship ain't Max Verstappen.
No, that's right.
Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so have we put this situation to bed for now, at least?
Oh, of course not. But I think we're done talking about it.
Okay, fair play. A couple other things. Grosjean was moaning again.
Really?
Ironic that he's wearing this helmet.
Have you read? I was going to say, have you seen his helmet?
But yeah, he was on the second to last lap, and he was saying, "Look, guys, I think we should retire this car. We need to retire this car. It's just not happening. It's not working for me." And then they turned around and said, "Okay, fine, right, retire it, bring it in. But you sure you don't want to make the checkered flag? You know, you've only got one lap." We went, "Oh, okay, I'll make one lap. I'll make the checkered flag." And it was kind of, yeah, good boy, bring it home, shut up. Actually, I think they did tell him to shut up at one point.
Oh, well, they should have done. But all I would say is the only instances where I think that's okay to say that is if you think you need to do a gearbox replacement. Mm-hmm. And I think if you don't finish the race, you're allowed to replace the gearbox or something like that.
Yeah.
But if it was just doing it because he couldn't be asked, then yeah, fuck off.
Yeah. And Ocon made this race the 26th consecutive finish of his career from start to finish, beating Max Chilton's record of 25. So from his very beginning of his career in Formula One, he's finished them all. So well done to you, sir. And
well done, golf clap.
I really like Ocon. I've got no problems with him whatsoever at the moment.
Oh no, I think it's great. I love the dynamic going on between him and Perez. You know, it's just like, yeah, full power to a pair of you. You know, I mean, yeah, I want to see that. I mean, okay, it's a shame they're not allowed to race, but they have kind of proven men can't be trusted.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to run down the top 10 of the finishers, if that's all right.
By all means, sir.
Lewis Hamilton wins, so 72nd win, I think it is, of his career.
Oh, yes.
Meaning that he only has to finish 5th in Mexico.
Yeah.
And that's it. Then it's over. Sebastian Vettel in second, quite far back, 10 seconds back. Didn't really look like he was going to trouble Hamilton, apart from their first 2 laps. Kimi Räikkönen was promoted back to 3rd. Max Verstappen was 4th. Valtteri Bottas was a lonely 5th. Esteban Ocon was 6th. In front of the newly signed Carlos Sainz in the Renault in 7th, picking up points. Incredible.
Wow, I mean,
points.
Like I said, it's almost like there wasn't any problems with that car. Wonder what could have happened there, maybe.
Isn't that strange? I think I heard something from Prost turning around and saying, well, yeah, if Hülkenberg doesn't finish with Jolyon, then we have a kind of black hole where nobody's going to finish the points, and Sainz has filled that black hole.
Yeah.
He certainly does. Sergio Perez was in 8th position, Felipe Massa was in 9th, and Daniel Kvyat was in 10th position.
Yes.
Picking up a point.
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, we can reveal that he won't be joining us in Mexico.
No, that's it. He's gone.
Pretty much.
Will we see him for the rest of the season?
I don't think so.
No, he's gone now, isn't he?
Pretty much.
Oh, never mind. Anyway, do you want to run through the drivers and I'll do the constructors this time round?
Yes. Okay, so the drivers in 5th place is Kimi Räikkönen with 163. Then Danny Ricciardo, the other Red Bull driver, with 192. Vitaly Bottas with 244. Sebastian Vettel with 265. And then there's a bit of a gap to Lewis Hamilton with 331 points.
Excellent.
Effectively, Lewis can take the next 2 races off and still not win the race and still potentially win in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah. So as it stands at the moment, it's only Sebastian Vettel or Lewis Hamilton that can become world champion. Yes,
Vitaly is no longer capable, unfortunately. And so, yeah, that's that.
Okay, fair enough. And the constructors' standings, we have in 5th position Williams, Mercedes with 68 points. In 4th position, Force India with 159 points. I think they're quite safe there, aren't they?
I think that's one of the reasons why they weren't overly fussed on letting those two race.
Yeah. In third position, we have Red Bull with 315 points. In second position, Ferrari with 428 points. And the champions this year, it is sorted out already. Mercedes have won the Constructors' Championship with, well, they have at the moment 575 points. I'm sure they're going to get more points in the next coming races.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
So that's it. That's the race. Opinions on it, just after we've spoken about it. Did you enjoy it?
For the most part, I enjoyed it, yeah. I like that circuit. In fact, I think of all the recent circuits, it's been the one I've just generally universally liked the most. It's kind of always given an entertaining race.
Yeah.
Near as I can remember. Plus, it's on in the afternoon, not first thing in the mornings, because, you know, fuck that whole getting up early thing.
Do you know what? I like getting up early. I like lunchtime ones, but once it's over, then it's kind of, okay, now I need to do my homework and go to school type thing, that feeling. But on the Sunday, when it was really late, I had all day to look forward to it. And so I really enjoy the late ones. You know, with the early ones, it's over, and then you got the rest of the Sunday to go. So, yeah.
I suppose so, yeah.
I quite like the late ones. But, yeah, maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just
Maybe
me.
so. Yes.
Anyway, predictions from this race. Now, do you remember what you put down last time out?
I'm pretty sure I put down winners.
Okay. Right, well, for the qualifying, you predicted Ricciardo to get pole position.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's because you predicted Lewis.
I predicted Lewis, and I get a point for that. So
yeah, well, I knew it wasn't going to be a bloody anyone else. I knew it was going to be Lewis. It's like, well, fuck it.
Yeah. And in the race, I predicted Vettel to win the race, which was a no-no. Although second, you know.
We're still a bit unsure as to why you chose to do that.
Because I want the championship to continue. That's why. I want a reason to watch these races.
No, well, yeah. You mean the chance to sit and chat with me afterwards isn't reason enough? I'm hurt.
You know.
I'm hurt, really, I am.
And you predicted Hamilton, so congratulations. So you get another point for that. Now, the interesting bits. Do you remember what we had for the third and fourth column?
No.
Okay, we had finishing positions of Sainz and Kvyat.
Ah.
So, let's find out where Sainz finished first. Sainz finished in 7th position.
You did.
I went for 9th position, so I don't get a point for that. And you went for 6th position.
Oh, so close.
So close, but unlucky, mate. Unlucky.
We didn't do nearest to pin, so no one. But so close.
Well, he was running in 9th for so long in that race as well. And I was sat there going, I'm going to get another point. Oh, man, it's going to be amazing. But no. Alas, he's too good for that.
Yes.
And Kvyat. Okay, you went for a DNF for Kvyat.
To be fair, yeah, the odds were on my favour.
Yeah, that's true. But he finished in 10th position. Yes. I went for 12th. So I was closer than you on that one, but then again,
you were.
No points. So you score a point this race. I score a point this race. So it's all even Stevens again. And that leaves us, hang on, where are we? I get a point there. And you get a point there. So you now have 23 points. And I have 16 points. So, yeah, it looks like I ain't going to win. Well done.
Well, you never know. It's not over until it's over. You know, there's still the mathematical... No, you're not going to win, but still.
I feel very German all of a sudden.
Do you?
Yeah.
Are you in an Italian car, perhaps?
Yes.
Italian chair?
Yeah, that's how I feel at the moment with this, yeah.
Maybe I'll exceed the track limits of the next one and, you know, you can have a point or something.
Oh, I'd love that. Thank you very much. That'd be great. So, the Mexico Grand Prix next time out, is it?
Oh, yes, in El Mexico. Would you like some stats from previous races?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay, so last time out, 2016, pole position was Lewis Hamilton. Fastest lap was Danny Ricciardo. And the podium was Hamilton from Rosberg from Ricciardo.
Okay.
So, yes, did pretty well. I mean, in terms of all-time finishers and everything, none of these are really going to affect us. The most wins was Jim Clark. And then Alan Prost and Nigel Mansell.
Mm-hmm.
And the most constructor wins was Lotus, followed by McLaren and Williams.
Okay.
But yes, in terms of since they've redone the race here, since 2015, Mercedes have won each one. Rosberg in 2015 and Hamilton in 2016.
Okay.
Bottas did finish third in 2015, though, with the Williams.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah, good. Interesting. Okay. So, am I going first again since I'm behind?
I think that's only fair.
Okay. Well, qualifying. Do you know what? I'm going to go for Vettel.
If I may quote from Van Wilder, but why?
Pourquoi? No, I'm going for Vettel. So I'm already writing down who you're going for. But
well, I'm playing to win. So yeah, I'll go with Lewis.
Okay, you're going for Hamilton, and for the race. Oh, do I think that? Okay, do we both think that the championship will be decided this race?
Yes,
it will be. It'll be sorted out this race. Yeah.
Well, the only way it won't be is literally a DNF for Hamilton.
Yeah. I wonder how many DNFs has he had this season?
If you bear with me a moment, I will find you the relevant information.
I don't think he's had many, has he? If any, at all.
So it might be due one. That's an excellent point. Bear with me 2 seconds, if you please. 2017 Formula One season. Lewis Hamilton. Nope, he has finished every race so far. His lowest points, he's scored points in every race. Mm-hmm. His lowest finish being 7th at Monaco.
Okay. I'm going to go for a Vettel win.
Okay, well.
So I take it you're going for Hamilton?
Seems rude not to.
Okay, fair enough. That's fine. At least one of us wants this championship to continue.
Well, there's wanting it to continue and there's wanting to win.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, third column. Do we do something with Perez since it is his home Grand Prix?
I think we probably should, maybe. I'll tell you what, because it's quite fun having a third and fourth point, and it gives you a chance to catch up as well, you see.
Okay.
So how about we have two here?
Okay.
Where's Perez finish?
Yeah.
And lead Toro Rosso. Gasly or Hartley?
Oh, I like that, yes.
Because then, if we just do that, say, who's ahead of the other one, rather than the nearest to pin, someone will score a point for that one.
Yeah.
But with Perez, it's got to be on the money.
Okay. Oh, okay. Right. Where's Perez going to finish? 5th. I'm going to go for 5th.
Oh, wow. Well...
I've written it down now, so I can't change it. And it's in pen and everything.
Is it?
Yeah.
You don't even have a blue eraser.
No.
I think he's going to come...
Please finish that sentence.
I think he's going to finish...
Yeah.
I'm going to go 7th.
7th. Okay. Just out of curiosity, do you reckon he'll be behind Ocon then?
No.
So he'll finish 7th ahead of Ocon?
Yeah, but I think ahead of him you're going to have potentially 2 Mercedes, 2 Red Bulls and 2 Ferraris.
Okay. Well, I'm planning on Lewis breaking down this weekend, so that's why I've gone for 5th.
Oh, stranger things have been known to happen.
That's right. Okay, so leads Toro Rosso, the 2 rookies.
Yes.
I'm going to have to go with Gasly.
That works for me because I was going to go with Hartley.
Oh, excellent. Good. I'm glad that you got what you wanted. Excellent. Okay, fine. I'm looking forward to that. That's all set in stone now. That is written in pen and everything, so looking forward to that. Are you around for the Mexican Grand Prix? You're not flying out to Toronto or somewhere like that?
No, nothing. I was actually going to ask, do you want to maybe record straight after the race? Because it finishes at 9 o'clock.
It finishes at 9 o'clock?
I believe so. Let me just double check here. If I go to my little TV guide.
Your Radio Times.
The race finishes at 9 o'clock.
Ooh, okay. I'll say yes. Yeah, I'm going to say yes, yeah. I would say, should we go live? But no, that's too much faffing around at the moment.
Well, it's too much faffing around. And again, if it's a boring race, what we're going to do, we're going to sit... We're not Crofty and Vrundle.
No, that's right, yeah. Okay, no worries. Yeah, okay, good. I'm just making sure that you're going to be around since the MCMs this weekend, etc.
It is, but I will be long home by then. And again, the race is 7 till 9, so yes.
Okay, cool. Well, okay, are you looking forward to this? Do you like this track?
Kind of. I'm with you. I'm not a huge fan of the new, what's it called? Stadium section.
I hate that section.
Yeah, I know. But, I think for me, the problem with this is it always, by the time it hits, one way or the other, the championship's usually done. I mean, it's either finished or it's so obvious who's going to win. It's since it's come back. It's only been Mercedes in the running, effectively. So it's just there's been no real sense of drama to it. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to see. I don't dislike it, like say Monaco or Monza for you or something like that. Mm-hmm. But equally so, it's not like the US Grand Prix or this year's Baku race or something like that.
Yeah. So
far. I mean, we could have an entertaining race. Who knows?
I'm hoping so.
Yes.
I'm hoping, yeah, a bit of drama. Maybe a silver Mercedes broken down at the side with Lewis Hamilton going, no, not because I don't like him, but because I want the championship to continue. That's the only reason. I think he's been phenomenal in this second half of the season. I feel Ferrari really have destroyed their own chances this season. They have imploded. Vettel has been a bit hot-headed and screwed things up. And I don't think it's not that Lewis wouldn't have won it anyway, but I think he got help from Ferrari to win it. So, yeah, I think Lewis deserves it. He's won the most races. When he's been consistent and when he's been on it, it's looked so easy for him. He's made it look. There's so many races where you can turn around and say he's looked so comfortable. Mm-hmm. This race, Britain, was really comfortable for him. There was other races where he just looks supreme, and just
he has risen to another level. And I think a lot of that's just come down to Rosberg not being there anymore.
Yeah. Yes, it's calmer, isn't it? The waters have calmed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not calmer in the whole, mystic sense, just less choppy.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping a bit of karma might come his way this weekend. But yeah. So, yeah, Mexico. I haven't been impressed. I don't like the stadium, but I'm hoping that we can have a good race. Really hoping, but yeah, we shall only see. Anyway, so. Right, I think we'll leave it there for the United States Grand Prix. Thank you, Andy, for joining me for this. It's been excellent, as always.
Always a pleasure, sir. I love talking about Formula One with your good self.
Good man. Have you got anything that you'd like to plug that you do, or has all that fallen by the wayside?
The only other thing I do these days is Band of Brothers with You, which we haven't done in quite a while.
Yeah,
we should probably fix that at some point.
Yeah, maybe next weekend.
Yeah, next weekend potentially work, because we've only got 2 more to do, I think.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yes. But, the good ship USS Space Dock Dewey did suffer an accident or maybe exploded a bit. So.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It was a good explosion, though. I timed out perfectly.
I'm gutted about that. I really am. But, things move on.
Yes.
Okay, you can also catch me on the Black Dog Podcast, which is blackdogpodcast.com. If you like listening to 4 idiots talk about movies, please pop over there and give it a listen. We're talking about Halloween movies at the moment, and we just did The Borderlands, which I think in America is called Final Prayer, and it's a bloody good film. Bloody good film.
I haven't seen it, but I was listening to the cast and it sounds amazing. I'm like, whoa, that sounds really good.
It is a bloody good film. But
it was an entire field worth of roast potatoes, wasn't it?
It scared the bejesus out of me. Honestly did. I am a massive wuss. I am the biggest wuss in the world. But I can really appreciate for what it is. So please pop over there and give that a listen. Why not? Also pop over to RogueTwoMedia, where you can find the Shonky Lab Band of Brothers podcast and this podcast as well. So pop over there, give them a listen. You might find something that you like. You never know. If this is the only podcast you listen to, what? Really? Honestly? We feel humble and wow, that's amazing. But I'm sure it isn't. But if it is, try other stuff as well. We got other shows as well. So pop over to RogueTwoMedia.com and you can find other shows there. If you do enjoy this, please, or if you feel like helping us out, either write a review on iTunes. That always helps us out. Either share it or like it when you see it on the Facebook group or on Twitter. Or you can also, I've put something on there, which is a bit cheeky, but I'm going to try it anyway. We do have a Patreon on RogueTwoMedia, which keep the lights on, and it is helping out. It is keeping the lights on. It's paying for certain things. It's paying for the hosting at the moment, which is all good.
The blackjack and hookers aren't cheap.
No, they're not. No, and especially ones I like as well. Yeah. Shivers down my spine already. But yeah, if you want to help us out a little more, you have the Patreon over there, which has all the buttons over there you can click. But also on the front page of RogueTwoMedia and Grand Prix Podcast.com, there is a very small donate button at the top right hand of the screen. If you click on that, you can drop the cost of a coffee in. Why not? Why not if you go to Starbucks or Costa, why not turn around and go, well, you know what? I don't want this, but them guys over at GrandPrixPodcast.com, they might like a coffee. So why not put a little donation in there? You can have your monthly, or you can just have a one-off £1 donation. Give whatever you want. If you don't, it's not a problem. I'm not going to be offended by it. So thank you very much. I just thought I'd put that there just in case. So until the Mexico Grand Prix, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you, Andy, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Ta-ra.
Especially if Octaverne's got a problem, because 2.8 has become 1.9 in the space of a lap, so that's going to happen, isn't it?